Hello, everyone. Mary Valiarte here, the host of Tradition Breakers. Welcome to the podcast. And as you know, Tradition Breakers is all about sharing the stories of amazing AAPI folks who broke from tradition to follow their own artistic, creative, and entrepreneurial paths. And that could be a path in their personal life or professional life. Today's episode is really going to hit home for those of you who may not have been born into a supportive family dynamic. My guest, Carol Shih, had that experience. But you know what? She proves that doesn't have to be a setback. She's going to tell us how that lack of family support actually led her to get so good at this one critical life skill that helped her create the life, the work, and the community that she now treasures today. Carol is such an excellent example of focus, self-awareness, and determination. She was born in Taiwan and came to the United States at the age of 19 to attend Cal State Long Beach. But her mission wasn't just to study here. It was really to stay and build a life here, and that's exactly what she did. Fast forward to today, Carol has amassed an impressive knowledge and work experience in the world of e-com and tech. And that eventually led her to co-founding CodeSpace, which is one of the top minority women-led Shopify and creative agencies here in Los Angeles. Carol is also a wife and a mom to a young toddler and another one on the way. So without further ado, here is my interview with Carol Shih. Before we jump into today's podcast, I want to share a bit about my marketing and creative agency, Tasty Directives. Having been a manager, director, and head of marketing for several national brands, I've seen firsthand the unique needs of businesses from the inside. I also had the opportunity to work with a lot of agencies, and one thing stood out so clearly to me. A lot of them are more concerned with providing a service rather than creating value. That's why when I founded Tasty Directives, I made sure that creating value for our clients is our top priority. We understand your goals, dive deep into your market, tailor integrated strategies, and execute them flawlessly to deliver real measurable results. So if you're ready to see real growth, let's connect. Visit www.tastydirectives.com/contact to schedule a free marketing consultation. Let's scale your business with taste, not hassle. Now back to the show. All right, Carol, welcome to Tradition Breakers. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to chat with you today.
Thank you, Mary. I've been so excited to join this podcast. Thank you for having me.
Yay, of course. I met Carol a few months ago. I think it was in May or April. I can't really remember. Maybe even
It's
June.
a blur.
It's a blur.
It might be. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like I've known you for a long time because we sort of clicked pretty quickly when I met you at that She-Mark event at the Capital One Cafe in Santa Monica. And, you know, after that, we reconnected virtually via Zoom. And I just really enjoyed hearing your story. And that's why I wanted you to come on the podcast, because I think you can bring a lot of knowledge, advice, practical information to other AAPI folks who are looking to start their businesses, start a business in an industry that is very white male dominated. And also who are looking to go to a place where their families or their friends might not be there with them. So I think you can provide a lot of guidance there. So first thing I want to ask you before we get into your professional life and your accolades is I want to talk about this quality that I've observed about you, which is how you're really great at reaching out and bringing people into your communities. So were you always like that? Where did that come from? Did that develop over time? Like, you have a really great way of making people feel welcome and comfortable and bringing them into the fold. So tell me about that.
Oh, great question. You know, I thought about that. I think it developed when I moved to the United States. So I was born in Taiwan, raised in Australia when I was a kid. And then I went back to Taiwan for international American school. It's been a wild ride. I think it's a very Asian culture thing where they kind of moved you around when you're younger, especially if you live in a small country like Taiwan. So I learned to be independent, but also at the same time, I had this mentality of I am on my own and I have to depend on myself. And if I'm not the one that can solve certain problems, I need to lean on the people around me. And so when I moved to the United States when I was 19, I literally was a fob girl that spoke perfect American accent English that knows nothing about American culture. I don't know the slangs. I don't know what people are talking about. I know full history. Like I know poli-sci back in my hands, but I don't know any slangs. And so I start to make friends really fast. I had to get out there, and I became like, I was trying to get very involved in the student body. I was in Cal State Long Beach. I was like trying to be Taiwanese Student Association president. And that's when I was like, oh, the power of community is amazing, because if I don't know what to do, I just shout to my team and be like, who knows how to use a credit card? Like, because I didn't know how to use any of that. I didn't know how the bank system works. I don't know how healthcare works. I still don't know how healthcare works. And like tax season, there's all these things that I'm just so confused about this country. And because I spoke fluent English, no one really wanted to help me out. So I start to be I kind of put myself out there. And in a sense, people think I'm very extroverted, but that's not always the case. And I think that when I found how many people were willing to help me out because I raised my hand, I wanted to be the same for my community as well. So especially the AAPI group, I felt it's so close to my heart that I want to help people just like me who are just like confused. And I feel like Asian women, or just Asian in general, we just suck at asking questions. We just suck.
A lot of us really do. Like we try to figure things out as much as we can, but you're right. I agree.
Yeah. I think our parents taught us that, like, be quiet in the corner, just be good, just be a good girl, and then like just follow the crowd, And I realized a lot of answers don't get answered. Questions will get answered if I just sit around and do nothing. So kind of developed that.
Yes. So it sounds like it was sort of like a necessity. It came about because
survival instinct, for sure.
Yeah. And it's super cool how you decided to go that route, because some people, they do decide to go the other direction, which is like to basically isolate themselves even more. Where did you get that idea? Was that just like your natural reaction to things even before you moved to the US, or you realize that that's probably going to be the best case for me?
I think when somebody is pushed to the corner and you have nowhere else to go and you tell yourself the only way is up, that's where I'm at. I had a very toxic family environment in Taiwan, and I knew since I was very young, middle school, high school, that I want to get out of there. And so when I had that plane ticket, came to the United States, I was like, oh, I am staying here. Even though I'm here as an Australian, I knew when I was 19, I needed a green card. And in order to obtain a green card, I needed to get a working visa. In order to get a working visa, I need to get a job. And how do I get a job? I need to find a job that's relatable to my major. So I worked backwards on it. I'm a planner. So I knew I had to get the broadest major possible, find a job that's willing to sponsor me a working visa, get that job to get me a green card. I told myself I want to get it before I was 30. I got my green card at 29. So I'm very, very career driven when it comes to that. I knew that I didn't want to go back. And when you have nowhere else to go, you got to put yourself out there. And it's more of those things that I love to challenge myself. And I still do. I challenge myself to do a lot of new things because I want to know where my potential is at. My competition is me. And I think since I was a young age, I want to know where I can go and what is my full potential. So I cry a lot too. So I just want to say, whoever's listening thinking that oh wow, almighty, I'm not. I question my own motives at all times. Like, why did I do this?
Which is totally normal, right? That voice comes up pretty often for some people, maybe for others, not as often, but it does. And I think for you, what I admire a lot about you is that you really knew what you wanted to do. And so you kind of just reverse engineer from there. You were going to make it work regardless, right? That's what it sounded
Oh
like.
yeah. Yeah.
Like there's
I'm not knowing what job I wanted, but I knew I needed to stay here.
Yes,
so
that's what you wanted.
I will find a way. Yeah. Kick some doors open. Yeah.
So what was your major and what was the job? And how did that job lead you to founding or co-founding CodeSpace, which is your e-com business?
Accurate. So I looked and I talked to a teacher and I said, at the professor at Cal State Long Beach, I said, what are the most common work that I can get to get a working visa? And of course, they say, well, as a foreigner, is usually something more specific, like the doctors, or even practicing law was very difficult. I wanted to be a psychologist at the time, and I found out it was like 7 years in school. I was like, okay, never mind. School was not my forte, so I knew I had to go broad. And the broadest way you can get some kind of job that will be willing, which is a big company that has money that's willing to sponsor you, are more in the digital and tech. So I majored in communication and marketing. One, communication was easy to graduate, and marketing was something that's very broad that you can do so much of. That's what I did. I graduated 4 years in double major, and I quickly got out. I ended up interning for Louis Vuitton, and that's how I fell into fashion. I also volunteer for a nonprofit that raised attention to human trafficking, sex trafficking, which is also another part of passion of mine, really raising attention to a lot of women's rights, women reproductive rights, and kind of echoing what my past was. That was something that I was drawn near. And of course, fashion was somewhat close to that, because fashion highlighted a lot of sex abuse or labor abuse. So I learned a lot about that. And then because I worked at Louis Vuitton, my resume grabbed a lot of attention from a lot of digital agencies that had fashion clients. So I then actually stumbled upon a digital agency that was actually located in Compton at the time. And they're like, well, we needed a client success manager. Would you be willing to do that? So I started off as a customer service representative, picking up phone calls. And I remember I didn't even do that for a week. And I went to my boss at the time. I go, I didn't come to this country to answer phone calls. I got this. Give me more. And I actually convinced them to give me another job. Yeah. And that's when I touched, oh my goodness, like maybe 40 plus enterprise fashion brands, like the Seven for All Mankind, the Juicy Couture, the Rag and Bone, the denim brands that are just everywhere you see. I think that point, I was able to touch the e-commerce life cycle from beginning to the end. I understood how warehouse fulfillment work, photo studio function. I understand back end, front end development processing. I also understand how marketing has different channels, paid channel, organic channel. How does that everything work together? And then I kind of moved up into a director role at the time. I worked there for around 6-7 years, and they were willing to sponsor me a green card. And I still remember it very closely. The day I got it, I was like, wow, I finally got it. Yes. I'm American. And my bosses were like, I don't need to listen to you anymore. But yeah, it was an achievement. Yeah, like, what you gonna do now, Fart? Yeah, can't deport me now. But that was like so super stressful, right? Like my 20s was all I care about. I was like, I can't lose this job. Like I'm gonna get deported if I don't lose this job. And that stress really pushed me on, but it got me to learn so much because I stuck to it. Yeah. I didn't have the luxury to quit and let go. I didn't let myself have that this. I got to push forward no matter how difficult it is, no matter how low that glass ceiling is. I got to push through. And so that led me to a lot more opportunities. Later on, I actually worked for Alibaba for a year, learning about cross-border because I'm bilingual. Which was a slight mistake because that was even more stressful than my other job, working in a different time zone. And then I stumbled upon two developer friends back in the day. They go, hey, Carol, we're starting this company called CodeSpace. We're great developers, but we don't really know how to talk to human beings. Can you do it? So I got lucky. People understand. Building a business is not just about doing what you're good at. You have to find people that are doing things that you suck at. And so I fell into the puzzle piece, and then I ended up taking over CodeSpace from operations to, just communicating with clients, and then later on finding the better partner to fill in the other gaps. And then we now formed CodeSpace. In the last 2 years, we rebranded to be a full minority and women-owned company, which is something that's I always wanted. I mean, how many of us can say that we built a web development agency with 2 women, moms that are minority in a full white dude world?
Can't say
did I check some boxes, Mom? I did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Amazing job. You and your co-founder are just kicking ass. So thank you for summarizing that very beautifully and succinctly. So I'm sure during that time, it may not have been a linear path. There may have been challenges. What is one challenge that sticks out to you till this day, and what did you learn from it?
Oof. The challenges is that you have to tell yourself that it's not just one challenge. I think being an owner of an agency or being in the state when I'm waiting for a green card, I've always known that this is not the end, but this is also not forever. So being present for the challenge is probably the most difficult thing. And I still say that to this day. It's whenever, I don't know if I can say this on your podcast, but when shit hits the fan, it's very difficult for someone like me who's type A to not panic, because it's always our, fight or flight. Oh my God, what are we going to do? How am I going to fix this? How do I get out of it? But throughout the years of just so much shit is hitting the fan, I just learned to sit there and really be present and be like, okay, well, this is what things are. This is not going to be forever. How do I solve this issue? And I think that challenge just stick with me.
How do you build that muscle as you're there? Is that something that you developed over time? And if so, how did you develop that?
I think it goes back to the community. I reach out to my community of friends as women founders. I also really ask for and look for a good mentor. So I think I lean on a lot of mentorship and ask, what do I do in this case? And yeah, that muscle is built throughout the years. I did not react the way I do. I used to have panic attacks. That was so often that happened at work that the ambulance would come maybe once or twice a month. And they'll be like, oh, the same girl, Asian girl that would faint. Yeah. And they wouldn't find anything because they all, my whole entire company, my HR all thought I had a heart issue, because that's what we called it. Oh, Carol had a heart issue. But then later on, I start seeing the therapist. They're like, oh, this is a full-on anxiety attack. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So, and I turn to alcohol a lot because that's what you do in digital agencies, right? You get stressed out, you have a client, you start drinking.
Same with fashion, because I was in fashion as well. And alcohol is where you go.
So easy.
So easy. Well, gosh, yeah, I love that piece of advice. Community, right? Because you don't have all the answers and you never will. But someone else may. And
100%.
Gosh, great advice. So from your director, or I I think you probably went beyond director since you went to Alibaba.
Mhm.
So sorry if
Yeah.
that was a mistake. But 9 to 5 in general, right? You made the leap from 9 to 5 to business owner to running a
Mhm.
business. What
Mhm.
was that transition like? Because working a job and owning a business are two completely different things. And
Yeah.
I've found that a lot of people who make that jump um, aren't always prepared for the change in that lifestyle. And I'm also aware that it looks different for everyone. But I would
Right.
love for you to talk about what that transition was like for you.
Oh, it was hard. I think that was the most difficult thing is I am such a working bee. And you said 9 to 5, it was more like 7 to 6. And
Mm.
I'm so used to being the first one at work, turning on the lights, last one to leave, such a workaholic. And then I realized that that was not healthy for me, especially when I was talking about my anxiety attacks. And I start pulling back. And though Alibaba stretched me even thinner because I had to work at midnight for the China team to communicate with them. And they will make me wake up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. to go on calls because they need me to present to East Coast. And then I still have to work throughout the days. And I had to drive 30 miles to Cerritos from Venice.
Oh my
So
God.
I definitely didn't have time to sleep. That's why I worked there for maybe like a year and I called quits. And my body was just, I had hives. I had like all these, my anxiety attack was like once a week. It was really bad.
Oh no.
Um, and that was when I called quits. And then when I had to shift into being a business owner, and it didn't shift right away. It was just, hey, can you help out doing some business development? And
Mhm.
I was recovering. I also just got married. And then soon after that, pandemic hit. So, and then I got pregnant after that. So everything kind of happened within like couple of months. And so the life kind of pushed me towards that direction where I had to set my own boundaries as to how much I should work, how much I can push myself,
Mhm.
how much do I be aware of where my body is telling me. Because when you're pregnant and you have a kid yourself, Mary, you know this thing.
Yeah,
You it's no longer about you. And especially when you get married, it's no longer just about you. You need to communicate with your partner.
for
You
sure.
need to talk, and both life partner and your business partner, because if you
Mhm.
crash, then everybody else crashed. So it was a big awakening moment for me to tell myself, like, okay, first I need to fill my own bucket before I can fill somebody else's. This is no longer working for somebody and go home and turning it off.
No,
There is
no.
no turning off. You have to force yourself to turn something off, right?
Mhm.
That was a really difficult transition. The first 2 years of my entrepreneur life was learning to say, okay, Carol, this is where your boundaries at, and this is where you stop, and this is where you can go again. And this is where you tell your team how much you can dedicate. And this is where you tell your partner that, hey, this is all I can do. And this is also when you ask for more or ask for less. I mean, it was so much that, like you said, the learning, building your muscles, that
Mhm.
part was very, very tough for me.
Yeah, it sounds like there were quite a few muscles involved. Self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
You being self-aware of what's going on with you, what you're feeling, how your body is feeling. Oftentimes, it's so easy to just ignore our bodies and what they need. And that's when things kind of go haywire. I experienced that with my own health problems too, where it just kept reoccurring and I did not know what to
Mhm.
do. Um, and the other muscle that comes to my mind as well is the muscle of speaking up, right? Communicating.
Mhm. Mhm.
You being able to communicate what you need from yourself and from your partners too.
Mhm.
It's super important. Um, so I think that that's so crucial for business owners to just practice, because then you also have other people to communicate with, like your clients, right? Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's really important because they're counting on you. And they're
Yeah.
also counting on you to be the expert, to guide them, to lead them on what might be better, or I don't know, like a better
Mhm.
direction for what they're trying to do. And if you can't speak up for yourself, that's going to be an issue. So
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
I really lean towards this quote that I learned from James Clear. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. I keep repeating that to myself. You know, rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of systems, which means that if I want to make $1 million, I have to first ask myself, does my foundation in my company and my system and my processes can even process $1 million worth of business? And if the answer is no, then I need to start from there.
Yeah.
And I turned around and I looked at my team, and I remember I went on maternity leave with my first kid. I came back, and it was literally the first. I only took probably 30 days off, barely. I was like on the bed giving birth, and still on my phone trying to finish the SOW. And I remember I gave birth a couple of days later. I was back on my phone. My husband had to like throw my phone across the room and be like, "Just focus on your baby." And I was so worried about my business, so worried about my team. But I came back, and I want to say 60% of my team left. Like majority of my team left.
Holy shit.
And I realized I was the problem. They were holding onto the position because of me, which means they're not leaning on the system. They're not leaning on our processes. I did not build a good foundation for them to be successful, right? And so I go back to that quote again. I need to start building my foundation enough so that I can take a vacation, so that it's self-serving. And it started out with my core value and my mission. I didn't even get those shit straight. So people don't even know. Right now, if you go and ask any one of my team and be like, hey, there's an issue that happened, what are you going to say? And every single one of them will tell you, well, quality comes first. And if quality comes first for code space, because we start with a Q, how do we solve problem from there? And it was like the biggest thing that I learned from my mentor. She's like, every one of your team members needs to understand what your goals are and what's the mission and what's the core value. And I cannot emphasize enough for business owners that are listening to this podcast. If your team doesn't know what you are looking for, what is your North Star, I dare you to take a vacation, because you're going to be freaking out.
Oh my
God.
Yes, great advice. And I can relate to that. Giving birth and working, same thing with me. Oh my gosh. And now you're expecting. How does
that thing. Yeah.
Is it a different feeling now? You feel more peaceful? You feel more...
Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness. Like after the first, so my son's almost 3 now. So it's been 3 years. And after that, I rebuilt my entire team. I pulled in another owner. The other 2 left. And this is Tasha, my partner in crime. She's just so amazing. And she's also a mom. We speak the same language.
Yay.
We are both minority in tech for a long time. Her background's also super impressive. She was in SpaceX before. She's also being in the background, managing a ginormous team, and realizing that, you know, we were just going to be a minority woman in a full male team. And we are always going to be the clog, and we are always going to be middle management. So if we want to do something for ourselves and really extend our capabilities, let's start something. And we have that aligned. We click right away. She's a process gal as well. And we built that process. I mean, I'm due in November, and our pipeline is good. Our process is good. The team actually yells at me for not taking a vacation. Like, I can go on vacation, and if I go on Slack, my operations manager, who's also my assistant, will yell at me, and she's Colombian, and I'm deadly afraid of her. Like, she's running the team. And that was the most comforting thing ever, is that I know my team is self-functioning. They know exactly what to do without me. I mean, if you're at that state, I think that's a win. Take home that big win. Yeah,
I'm
very proud of them.
Oh, that's great. Because it shows them too that you trust them, right? Being able to let go and not check in. That's really empowering for your operations manager to know that you trust her and that you believe in her capabilities to run the team.
100%. Easier to scale as well, because
Yes.
then they know how to train the next team, you grow faster. I mean, the hard work is in the front, and then later on, and finding the right teammates. I mean, we can talk about this all day about like the foundational parts, but that's where I excel in, and I love doing this. I also was a executive coach where I hate the word coach. I don't know how to say it. I just don't love the word coach.
About
I'm an
mentor.
executive. Yeah. Oh, okay. I feel like a supportive role, right? Because
Mm,
every business owner are good at certain things. Like if you are, you're selling shoes, you're probably an expert in manufacturing shoes, understanding how shoes are made, but you're probably not good at either finance or paid ads. Like, why would you be good
mhm.
at those things, right? Find somebody that knows how to do them. And
Right.
so I just feel like finding the right team to help you and support you, and actually knowing your own weakness is also a big highlight of being a business owner.
Oh gosh, yes. Knowing your own weakness so that you can bring in the right people that can either be
Oh
a
yeah.
part of your team or who you can work with, right? To
Yes.
help you see those blind spots that you have, because everyone has them. Nobody's perfect. So would you say that processes, building your team, you know, having values, would you say those are like the core actions or principles that's critical for running a business like an agency? Or is there something else that you would add to that?
Self-awareness. I think we talked a lot about that. And I think that I would always highly recommend a business owner to, number one, find a mentor to work on their own mental health and understand that what are their own weaknesses are, number one, and so that you are humble by that. Because I think a lot of business owner, I granted I understand you're bootstrapping, you need to be, very frugal about your spending, but there are, especially in a woman founder community, there's so many of us that's willing to give without taking anything, and lean on those community to support you and tell you where you should go. But then at the same time, a fine balance, because you need to understand, like you said, a really big part of it is why. Find your
Mhm.
why. Why are you doing this? I now know my weakness, but why am I doing this? Is that enough motivation for me to push forward and move on? If not, how long will I call quits? That's one
Mhm.
of my biggest challenges, is because I am always on the go. I don't know when to quit. Like, people don't talk about this. Like, oh, you need grit for a business owner. Yeah, but when do you really call quits though?
Yeah.
Because you should. You should really look at the end game at sometimes. And I was very fortunate that in the beginning of this year, I had to have that tough conversation with my
Mm,
partner and say, what if this is over? What does this
mm,
look like? And again, goes back to what we talked about earlier, is being present for the challenge and say, well, this is where we are at now. Let's come up with plan A, plan B, plan C. And
mm.
all of those things I said a business owner should need is, one, self-awareness, two, finding the right community to support you and listen to other suggestions, but three, really truly understanding your whys, because that's where your gut feeling comes from. You will
Mm.
know what's right and wrong, and you will know when to quit. And it's okay to quit. Girl, let
That
it go.
true. It's
Yeah.
okay to quit for sure. Ah, great advice. So the why, right?
Yeah.
Huge thing. And the why is obviously influenced by many different factors.
Mhm.
Um, and for you, I'm guessing it's influenced by your internal drive. It may be influenced by being a partner or a wife, a mom. So let's go into that world, your multiple
Mhm.
worlds. You're, like I said, a wife, a mom, entrepreneur. How do
Mhm.
you run your company while maintaining a loving relationship and also being the nurturer for your child and soon to be children?
Oh, you got to scare me like that. Having one kid versus two is like a big jump. I don't know if people know this, but I'm freaking out. I think it's full transparency. So Code Space's core value, I feel like it's very aligned to my life core value as well. One is core quality echoes with code space's Q, right? We start with a Q with code space. Quality comes first, and then it's community. We like to bring work into the minority and female owners of the group. I also specifically hire females and minorities in my team, especially those that, you know, didn't go to the Ivy Leagues for school and they want to learn how to code, but they didn't have the chance to, they didn't have the time to. Those are the people that I like to nurture, especially when it comes to their drive. And then the third core value is transparency. Transparency in our pricing, transparency in how we code, how we deliver that quality, and transparency in our lives. Like my entire team knows when I get sick, and I'm not like being oversharing. They just know that I'm a mom. They also know that my CTO and partner, she's a mom. And there are times we're on Slack every day. We have a 10 o'clock stand up. They know they're going to hear kids. And then when you start leading that way and just be like, guys, today is a weird day for me. I'm going to mute, but I'm here for you. Tell me what you need. Or guys, my kid's sick. Like my husband, my son right now has COVID. Guys, I just needed to go to hospital real quick. They're like, yeah, sure, Carol, we'll cover you. And you start to see your team doing the same thing. Like, hey, guys, like, hey, my mom's in the hospital. I need to go somewhere, but don't worry, I'll be back. Still very responsible, very transparent into our lives because we're not robots. Shit happens, right? And there are days that like we have this kid, like he had a family issue, emergency. He was out for a week, but constant communication. Texting me on WhatsApp, texting me on Slack. Carol, I just want you to know I'm totally fine, but I can't get to it. Can you help me cover? I already told the team what they need to get done. It's very responsible. It's very transparent. And we really lean towards each other. Like, let's cover each other's asses. And that culture, I cannot tell you how it happened. I think it's the people that we hire. Those who doesn't fit kind of just fell out. They just like, I don't love it. I hate saying that we're a family because I don't have the best family. So I can't say, but I do think that the trust in transparency was so important in my core value and also how I am as a person. I really don't have ghosts in my closet. It's just how I am and I'm not afraid to share it. And last but not least, our core value is being purposeful in how we treat people, human beings in general, whether you are an employee, whether you are a client that's making 10 million, or whether or not you're just making 100K, we treat you similar and we treat you the same, right? It's I think being purposeful in how we hire and how we communicate to each other as well. And again, I'm saying this because I run a small team and I intend to stay that way. I intend to be a boutique agency. My goal is not to grow big and sell fast, which I think it's a reflection of an American culture of how businesses are ran. I think America, there's a report that said, I think back in the 60s, there were companies that were lasting longer than 10, 20, 30 years. But if you look at companies now, they're lasting about 5 years to 10. Because the culture is grow fast, sell fast, and fast. And I just, with my Asian culture and background, I don't want to run it that way, which means you run it slow and steady and you build trust with quality.
Yeah, that also affects turnover because if if your goal is grow, then chances are you might not be creating a culture where people want to stay because you're more concerned about growth, right?
Yeah.
But you said something really fascinating to me because I think that a lot of people in our community, in our AAPI community, can relate to this when it comes to family, right? And this could be influenced by all sorts of things, personal, career choices, whatever. But some people do run into a situation where they don't have the closest relationship with their family. Sometimes it's troubled. So for you, would you say that because of that, like community became such a really big factor for you because family wasn't the supportive outlet that usually becomes, crucial or critical for people?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I feel like I definitely lean on my chosen family more than my blood family. And
Yeah.
I do not agree with the, what do they say? Blood is thicker than
Water.
some what? Well, yeah. Yeah. But in my opinion, you can drink water, you can't drink blood. So
Ooh, that's a good
I
one.
lean on my girls who pour my water and make sure my bucket is full, and the ones that text me and ask me how I'm doing. I think you and I even exchange texts once in a while and just be like, "Hey, how's it
We
going over
do.
there?" And I really truly lean in on those, and I put myself out there. And totally, I think not everyone is fortunate enough to be born in a family that is all about love. I think human beings have flaws, and you learn to accept where you came from. You learn to accept the card that's dealt your hands, and not to be hateful, not to be resentful, but just be like, okay, this is a lesson I'm learning, but I get to have a choice, and
Yeah.
I can to choose who I want to allow in my life and who I will not allow to come in and make it.
You have such a peaceful relationship with that. I love it. And I think that that can be
Therapy.
therapy. It works, y'all.
Therapy.
And Carol is
Yeah.
proof that just because, like you don't have the perfect family or the loving family that you want, your life isn't over. There's
No.
this opportunity to create that family that you've
Yeah.
always dreamt of and wanted, but you do have to put in the work like she did. So
So much work. So much work. No one's perfect. Even if you build your own family, people fall away too. Friends do, people grow apart.
yes.
It really goes back to staying present in your life here. Like when you text each other sometimes, right? Like you have friends,
Yeah.
we text each other. And there are friends how it's just every time you go, hey, how's it going, girl? This person's gonna be like, oh, everything sucked. Like, I cannot believe this is happening to me again. Like, this is like going on. Like, I hate this, I hate that. And you have friends go, you know what? Things are just a little bit crazy now. I think what are they? I'm so bad at astrology, but it's like retrograde,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I always say like the moon is in the microwave. I don't know what it means. um, but things happen, right? And when that happens, like, how do you learn to accept that? And I love a good friend that just goes, this is how it is now.
Yes.
It's not forever. Thank you for being here for me. Let's catch up again in a month when I feel a little bit better. And again, a month. I really would put in my calendar, check in on Mary in a month just to see how she's doing. And those are the friendship that I keep really close to me.
Oh, I love that. Yes, this too shall pass, people. Nothing is forever. Nothing good, quote unquote, and nothing bad, quote unquote.
Yeah. What
It,
goes up?
that's life. Nothing is permanent. So in one of your interviews, right, you talked about how most Asian women are like brought up to be quiet, obedient, basically blend in. You spoke about it a little bit earlier on this episode. You're like none of those things, right? So,
Hey. Yeah.
you're a trailblazer. You are one of the funniest people I've ever met. I don't think you blend in. I think that you just have a dynamic personality. But that doesn't mean you're not cooperative. That doesn't mean you're not respectful and polite and kind, right? But you're not going to be that Asian woman who's like on the sidelines that's not going to speak up. So how like how did you I guess abandon those values and those teachings to forge this other version of you that is now so present and so apparent in life right now?
Mm-hmm. I think it goes back to how I was raised. So I was raised in a very wealthy family in Taiwan. And my mother is a business owner as well. I learned a lot from her, whether it's good or bad. But she has a very well-run business, but she was not present in my life. And so I was taught to be quiet. I think the most common thing my mother has said to me, we're in Taiwan, so it's Mandarin, is 妹妹你嘴巴闭起来, which is younger sister, you shut your mouth.
Mhm.
Like your mouth is shut. You go to the corner, you do exactly what other people are doing, and you observe. And again, we're taking the good from this, whether or not people are like, oh, shoot, that's really toxic. Yeah, this doesn't sound great. But I learned a lot from observing in my early teen, high school, all the way to college, even. I was always observing. I still do, right? But I think that confidence grew when I left the nest. When I
Mhm.
start to find my own voice, when I was in college, I start to learn that, oh, I'm in a community and I can be somebody in a community. I can speak up. I am funny. I am, sarcastic. I can say things that like really move people. I'm passionate about these things. And I cannot tell you how much of it is entering 30s. I love being 30 plus. And I cannot wait to be 40 because I think that the older you get, the less fucks you give. And I love to learn that about myself. I think once I passed that 30 of like insecurity, imposter syndrome, I learned to embrace the things that I think is great about me. And hey, I've made some enemies. People sometimes hate how outspoken I am, but I've also in the last couple of years learned to accept that as well. I'm like, you don't have to like me. You don't have to like my jokes. You don't have to, think that everything I say is about you or whatnot. That's totally up to you. But I'm going to love myself. And that, again, training that muscle and starting to feel more comfortable in my own skin. It's definitely detaching away from my old self and learning to be a new one.
Yes, I can totally relate about that 30s era, right?
Yeah.
I felt the same way. 20s very insecure.
Yeah.
Like basically just out there partying, following the crowd, wanting to be
Mhm.
accepted. 30s being a lot more observant in
Mhm.
terms of self-observant.
Yeah.
Um I think that was the difference in my 30s. And then I'm also really excited about entering my 40s.
Yeah, right?
Yes, I'm super excited, especially since we look good. I mean,
I think it's because of our age. The listener's like, shut up. Our 10-step nightly routines are really keeping us young till we're 40.
it's
Um,
very
yeah.
key. So you also co-founded a fantastic organization called Major Asians, which you invited me to last
Yeah.
month. So fun. Which is all about creating a community for Asian founders, right? So what do you think are some of the challenges that Asian founders face, and how does
Mhm.
Major Asians help people through that?
Right. I totally forgot about that. I invited you to the Asian Founders Network, which is where I found the Major Asians as partners there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Major Asians branched out from this branding strategy firm in New York called Major Futures. And
Okay.
my two founders basically approached me and was like, hey, Carol, there's so many opportunities out there for Asian founders. Why don't you join in with your skill sets as a web development agency and kind of help out the Asian community? And that
Mm.
really was founded by two ideas. One is that as Asians, whether you're East Asian, Southeast Asian, we believe in rising tide, raise all boats.
Mm.
That was like the concept, meaning if we all gather, there's also a saying in Chinese is that the 肥水不落外人田. I don't know how to explain that very well, but basically, if you're in the rice field, all the great soils, it doesn't flow to your neighbors. It flows within the field because you're keeping your own stuff more nutrient. So that was not that was not flowy as well. But anyway, for what it is like we're saying that the Asian community, one, really sucks at asking for help, right? We
Mm.
talked about that before. We're always be the model
Yeah.
citizen, keep within your lines, don't go stir up the pot. Stay and be vibrant within your own community. So you see a lot of Asians that are stuck in the same community and they don't even need to speak English in America, especially in California. Like we know so many, I'm sure you know, like the Filipino community, Taiwanese community, Chinese community, like all of them. Some of them are like, I've been here for 20 years. I don't need to speak English at all because I lived in Monterey Park this entire time, you know? And when you have that, but they have a business that has a very good potential. People don't know about it. And Major Asians' goal is to bring that out and say, what can we do to help you? How can we rebrand your brand so that it is out there for those who are seeking you? Because a lot of us Asians, we're looking for brands that look like us. We're looking for products that we grew up with. Yeah. I cannot tell you, when I came to the United States, there was no boba. And now it is at every single corner.
Right.
And they don't even know what boba means. Boba, actually, did you know what boba means?
No, I did not. But we called it different in the Philippines, but it was the same thing.
Bubble tea?
No, it was sago.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. So a little bit smaller, white, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Boba came from Taichung, Taiwan, where I grew up. And there was actually there's a smaller black ball that's called pearls. That's how it started. But boba is the bigger version. And boba actually means very large boobs.
Ah, funny.
Yeah, so that's what boba said. Boba, that's actually what it is. And Americans don't know. They just call it boba. And I cannot tell you like how much it's spread in the United States culture. Everybody is drinking them. And it's the same way. We want to bring in another boba. We want to bring in, there's K-beauty, K-pop, K-drama, K-health is another thing that we've been trying to bring in. And our goal is to bring in a lot of brands that wants to enter North America, wants to bring in their new technology or new products to enter, because the world of social media and TikTok is becoming more and more efficient for everyone to purchase. So it's been very exciting. I'm learning a lot as well.
That is really exciting. I love how the country or the culture that created the product is actually going to be the ones to bring it to other markets, because oftentimes, Americans, like, they'll go into a country, they'll find something and then they'll bring it back, and they're the ones monetizing. But the creators of that, the cultural creators of that, don't really see a dime or a nickel of
tell me about it.
It's like yoga.
Yeah. Yes. So many of them. Like gua sha. Yeah. Gua sha, we've had that since I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
But we never put it on the face. I've never seen anybody use it on the face until like Hailey Bieber did it or something.
No way.
Okay. We don't use that. I tell my mom about it. She's like, why are you putting that on your face? That's supposed to be on your back.
Yes.
No, that doesn't work, apparently.
I like it. I use it all the time.
It feels great.
But it was the precursor to acupuncture, right? For traditional medicine.
Yep. Cupping, same thing. Cupping, I start to see probably the last 10 years or so, a lot more athletes and everyone's using it. You start seeing cupping marks. I used to have cupping marks and people thought I got beaten up.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Those are fun.
Cupping. Those are fun. What piece of advice or learning would you give to your younger self?
Oof. Have fun. I wish I had more fun. Aww. I wish I went to party more. I wish I went to Coachella. I've never been to Coachella. Now I just don't want to go. I still can after this, Mary. Yeah. I want to go camping right now with 5 months pregnant. I wish I was a little bit more rebellious. I wish I went to party more. I wish I skipped some classes when I was in college. I was a crazy girl going to 8 a.m. class. And my friends were like, I remember first semester, they're like, you don't have to choose an 8 a.m. class and you don't have to go in on Fridays. I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, you can choose in the next semester. I was like, I'm not going in ever on Fridays. And I double major. They're like, who are you competing with? I was like, I don't know. What am I doing? Carol, there is no class today. You could skip class. You do not have to go. Are you sure?
Won't they find
Yeah.
out?
Yeah, like who's watching you, Carol? Yeah, I wish I let it go more. I wish I had more fun. I wish when I had the energy before kids, I went to party, I went to concert. Like I wish I did a lot more of those. Not that I couldn't anymore, but it's like now if you drink, you get hungover a
I
lot
know.
faster. Whereas back in the day, like what is hungover? Let's do this.
You know, in your 20s, you bounce back so fast.
Yeah, yeah.
Now I have a couple of drinks and I'm like, oh, I feel that,
Yeah,
you know.
couple. Yeah,
But
please.
you could still go to those festivals.
Yeah, let's go.
I brought my daughter to a music festival when she turned 1. So I
Oh
was
wow.
with her the whole time. Yeah, it was a cool one. It was called Lightning in a Bottle. We still go every year. She loves it. There's a lake. And there's like a family camp and there's things for kids to do. So there's totally great festivals that you all can check out as a family.
See, community, text that to me. I want to know
Yes,
about that.
we can go
See?
camping together. It'll be
I
fun.
know. I know. Let the boys take care of the kids and then you and I sneak out. Yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
Yes. Okay, we'll put it on the calendar. Well, this was so fun, but okay, I have one more question to ask you, and this is sort of like something to give to our listeners who actually might have an e-com business and they're struggling with conversions. I forgot to ask you this earlier. Since I have an expert here, what would you advise people who are struggling with sale conversions do?
Site audit. It's kind of like you don't know why you're feeling sick. So the first thing you do is go to the doctors. The doctors don't know why you're sick. You do a health exam. That's what you should do for your website. Don't spend any money. Don't start fixing things because your competitor is fixing it. Just get a site audit. Come talk to me. I'll give you a free site audit so you understand where your health is at, understand your performance, understand your site speed. Let's see some glaring issues, especially if you're on Shopify. That's something we can totally help you out with. Find out what's wrong first before you react. And then we can do an app audit and then go through that. And then you can start modifying your plans and then start trickling down your assignments to your team, especially your marketing initiatives. But don't panic, site audit first.
I love that advice. Totally agree with you. Find out what's wrong first, then you know what to do. Now, if I'm someone who's just planning to or thinking about starting an e-com business, what should I be doing to prepare?
I would say if you are looking to start an e-com business, understand that you will have to spend around 5 to 8% of your annual income to dedicate into web development. Understand that it will take 3 months for any of your marketing initiatives to have return. So don't give up too easily. This is for the long haul. Don't expect that, hey, I got a new website. How come there's no traffic coming through? Hey, I sent out a new email. Why is nobody clicking through yet? It takes time for marketing initiatives to grow into the top of the funnel, into conversion. And it takes budget, investment. You need to have capital. So all those things are a few big check boxes to understand how you want to build your e-com business and have that expectation.
Amazing. So how do people get a hold of you?
You can find me at codespace.com or you can find me on Instagram or LinkedIn. I'm sure Mary will find us somewhere, right? You'll put it somewhere.
I'll put it in the notes. Yes.
Yeah. Or Carol at codespace.com. And remember, my company starts with a Q. So it's QODE space SPACE. And you're going to love, if you love astrology and space theme, that is where we're at. So come find us.
Yes, their website is really beautiful. I actually saw a website that has a similar theme to yours, but I love how you guys executed yours. Oh my gosh. Carol. They can't hold it. They can't hold a candle to yours. I'm like, oh my God, this is how it's done right. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Carol, for joining us. Thank you for all the learnings, advice, the shares. I'm super excited to push this out to our community. As Carol mentioned, I'll make sure to put all of her details in the show notes. And otherwise, I will see you all back here in the next episode. Thank you all.
Thank you.
If you like this episode, consider subscribing and leaving a rating and review. Tradition Breakers is produced by Tasty Directives, and the theme music is produced by DJ Professor Moses.